All right. Nice and connected. That's how I like it. That is how I like it. What's going on, my pretty babies? Lee Sanders here. You are checking out a new episode of the RCWR show, dropping for Tuesday night of September 7th, 2021. How y'all doing, man? I hope your weekend was fantastic. I hope you had enjoyed your Labor Day holiday. Mine's was definitely pretty good. Took it easy. Did a nice little small cookout. I didn't do anything too major, nothing too extreme. I pretty much did the usual. I whipped up some burgers. I whipped up some potato salad, some deviled eggs, and my girl made some of her famous banana wafer pudding. You guys know exactly the stuff I'm talking about. So yeah, it was a nice little quiet little Labor Day. That pretty much was it. So look, we didn't do a show on Monday because of the holiday, and I think for those of you, based off what I've seen so far with the polling results for Monday's WWE Raw, it looks like we didn't miss anything. I'm telling you, the polling results on Twitter and on YouTube, very seldom for as long as I have been doing the whole polling for the Monday night shows, very rare have I seen it in a way where unanimously everybody's on the same page. To see that a lot of you guys weren't feeling Monday's Raw. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday, though. So we're here tonight. We're talking about NWA Powerrr. It was their 40th episode that they gave us this week. And this was a nice little jam-packed episode. It was about almost an hour, just a few seconds shy of an hour, but a nice loaded up episode. We finally got to hear from Nick Aldis, as it was his first time addressing the crowd since NWA 73, where he lost the 10 pounds of gold to Trevor Murdoch. And remember what we were talking about mainly on the NWA 73 anniversary post show. I said to you guys, man, do you think it's even possible that Nick Aldis may go on hiatus for a couple of weeks before we see him again, where he's addressing his future and everything? And remember, off and on, I teased that maybe, just maybe, we're kind of getting to that point where members of Strictly Business, it's possible, but maybe a humbled Nick Aldis, a Nick Aldis that's essentially seen the light, maybe that might ruffle the feathers of his bandmates in Strictly Business, and things can kind of implode from there, where they decide, okay, you know what, Aldis has become pretty soft. I don't know what's going on with this guy, but we need to cut ties with this man. We just need to roll out and no longer have anything to do with him. And it really kind of seemed as though the ball was definitely rolling with this episode tonight. It definitely kind of made you raise an eyebrow a little bit and had you wondering whether or not, yeah, you know what, maybe the ball is in motion here. Maybe something is gonna happen here. Another thing that was very, very interesting too, as far as the development goes for this episode, was the fact that we saw for the very first time on NWA Powerrr Mickie James sharing the same screen time with her husband, Nick Aldis. And I think that was a very telling tale in itself, because, again, we got to go back to that NWA 73rd post show we did. Remember, I had said to you guys just what type of Nick Aldis were we going to be seeing after this title loss to Trevor Murdoch. Were we going to see a Nick Aldis that was going to be so consumed with being top dog in the NWA? All he can eat, sleep, breathe, think about is that 10 pounds of gold. And is it even possible Mickie James maybe is going to cross paths with him on camera, try to reel him back and essentially say to him, hey, look, one of the main reasons why I came here to the NWA is because we weren't really, in storyline, of course, we aren't really spending that much time together as it is. Your obsession with this championship, yada, 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 yada. So a lot of points I had touched upon on that post show. So you definitely want to piggy on back and check out that post show if you didn't check it out already. So I thought it was a telling tale to see Mickie James standing there at ringside with him. Let's go there, because I mean, we really didn't need to bring that up until much later on. But I mean, we got a nice little flow that's going right now. So again, we mentioned how Nick Aldis breaking his silence, returning for the first time since losing the title to Trevor Murdoch and everything. And boy, nice little mouthful that he had gave us, but very important bullet points that he gave in those few minutes that he was talking. He addresses the loss. He apologizes, first of all, to Cal Davis, because remember, during the pay-per-view, at one point, he lost his cool so bad, he slugged the hell out of Cal Davis. I mean, just slugged. The only thing missing was Aldis going over to the announcer's table and slugging the hell out of Joe Galley, because, both of them been going at it left and right as well. But that was the only thing that was kind of essentially missing there. But he apologized to Cal Davis, saying, hey, sometimes you get on my nerves. Sometimes you just warrant getting suckered in the face. You just warrant getting a punch. But you know what? I can be the bigger man here, and I actually would like to apologize. So he actually apologized. And that right there, when you're looking at the facial expressions of the other members in Strictly Business, when you're looking at Camille, you're looking at Tom Latimer, you're looking at Chris Adonis, you're looking at their facial expressions, they actually can't believe that Nick Aldis is apologizing to Cal. But, I thought it was very, very badass how their facial expressions extremely brief, but at the same time you just see enough kinks in that armor where you're kind of going, something's going on here, right? Something's going on here. They're not used to seeing this type of a Nick Aldis, but he does get right to the point, giving his message out there to Trevor Murdoch, letting him know that the two of them, they've only just begun, and that they really are like oil and fire, basically. They may not be friends. They may not be sending each other holiday cards and birthday wishes and all of that, but there's no denying that there's chemistry there between the two of them, and that they pretty much really bring out the very best in each other every time they lock it up, which brought all this to the point of bringing up the epic encounter, how they were just tearing the roof off the place at NWA 73. From there, Aldis turned his attention to how long he had been the champion. Remember, 1,044 days of as champion, talking about the linear, the legitimacy, the historical period, just all of those things combined, how he tried to do his very best to represent the NWA promotion day in, day out. He was the one that was doing all the full court media blitz, going on the podcast, things of that nature. By the way, can I take a brief pause? And for those that's tuning in live, do me a favor, just type a little comment in the chat box. Let me know if the stream quality is on point, because I did have to play around with some new settings, and I just want to make sure everything is on point. I know last week YouTube was having some type of encoding issues. Nothing that I was doing wrong, but there was some encoding issues that was going on at their end. So that kind of interfered with some of us streamers that were streaming live, and one of the avenues we stream live to is actually YouTube. So let me know, for those of you that's dropping in, trickling in, let me know if you guys are experiencing any issues, and if so, what exactly, and maybe I can try to figure out if I need to do something at my end. Otherwise, just kick on back, and assuming everything is good to go, enjoy yourselves. But Nick Aldis bringing up all the baggage that came with him being the champion, and how he tried to ultimately do his very best to represent the company for the past 4 years. And he pretty much, his message to Trevor Murdoch, you're now the man. You now got the bullseye on your back. You now have that target on your back. You now have to deal with the pressure of dealing with critics. You've now got to deal with the pressure of doing the full court media blitz. You've now got to deal with the pressure of wrestlers that are essentially smiling, clapping in your face when you're doing good stuff. But These be the same people that want to stab you in the back because they want what you got. They want your spot. So that was his whole message. But he did end things by telling Trevor Murdoch, hey, as far as that championship reign that he has right now, enjoy it for all it's worth. But he will be champion again. That was Nick Aldis' message to him. And, he pretty much ends it by saying winning is in the family business and that winning is what they do. It's a championship household. And right as he was saying these things, we saw Mickie James just come from his respected left side. And, she's smiling and nodding her head and everything, and it was nice to kind of see, because what I was most interested in was how were the other members of Strictly Business going to interact there with Mickie James. And to my knowledge, you just got to go back and really look at it frame for frame again, but there really wasn't that, what the hell is she doing here? Hey, she's not a Strictly Business member. It wasn't anything of that type of nature whatsoever. If anything, what I kind of got from Strictly Business's body language after Nick Aldis had said what he said, and Aldis pretty much made his exit with his wife. He didn't wait to essentially leave with his wife and leave with members of Strictly Business. Everybody's just rolling out together. No. He immediately after he says what he needs to say, he's walking off set with his wife. Members of Strictly Business are pretty much left behind. You're looking at that promo that he cut. You're not trying to read too much into it, but it really, truly came off like we got this week a very humbled Nick Aldis that has now had time to mellow. He's now had time to decompress on all things NWA 73rd anniversary. And now it just feels as though, okay, you know what? I'm going to give myself an opportunity here to rest up. I'm going to give myself an opportunity here to just really take a step back and just look at the bigger picture, seek clarity, but also, okay, what were some of the things that we did right? What's some of the things that we did wrong? You just really kind of got the impression that we got a very humbled, maybe melancholy Nick Aldis to a certain degree. Maybe a Nick Aldis that essentially is trying to change his stripes here and change his stripes for the better. You could almost make an argument that in defeat is when Nick Aldis has truly gotten his clarity of moment, so to speak. But how just those little bright moments we saw there of a humbled Nick Aldis, and you're looking at Strictly Business and how they're interacting, how they're engaging this humbled Nick Aldis, kind of felt as though it didn't really fly with them looking at their body language. So I can't wait to see how this story arc continues to progress in the coming weeks. But it really kind of feels as though there's already some cracks that they really tried to get the ball really high and in motion on this week's Powerrr that really just kind of has you going, yeah, don't really think they're no more here in Strictly Business. But nice little promo there. I mean, I like the fact that it wasn't lengthy. He probably talked for maybe about 3 to 4 minutes at most, but he hit all those good points. I thought it was kind of weird how they had this episode set up too, because when we opened up with this episode, we saw Joe Galli, Trevor Murdoch, Tim Storm. And so you're thinking to yourself, oh, great. So we're going to have these guys for the entire show. Great. But then as soon as they take a brief commercial break and they come right back, we go right to in-ring action. No more Trevor Murdoch that you hear. Now it's just Galli, Storm, and Velvet Sky. So you're kind of going, what the hell? You would have thought that at least at the end of this episode, since we did see Trevor Murdoch, and after all, Trevor Murdoch, when he was giving his opening thoughts, he even said to Galli and Storm, yeah, I've been emailing the former champ and trying to find out, where his headspace is at and everything, trying to work things out, try to get on the same page with him, and really work as a team to do what we can to try to help NWA going forward. But he's yet to return any of my emails, hasn't returned any of my calls. So whatever he's going to be unloading off of his chest tonight, I don't know anything about it. I'm going to be hearing it and experiencing it in real time, just like all of you guys. So hearing that, seeing Trevor Murdoch in the opening, and then thinking that's what you're going to get later on in that final segment where Aldis does speak, to not have Murdoch in that moment was just to not hear him. Murdoch wasn't there. You pretty much just heard Storm, Galley, and Velvet. So I thought that was kind of, I can kind of look past that, though. I can definitely kind of look past that. Look, they can save that easily by just going into the next episode of Powerrr or a future episode of Powerrr and getting Trevor Murdoch's reactions that way. But just the way they kind of had it lined up tonight, you really were under the impression you're going to be hearing from Murdoch, getting his instant reactions and all that from the spot. All right, so El Rudo and Jamie Stanley, they were cutting a promo. They were talking about how they were going to be the future of the tag team division, and they were just going to keep swiping right until their thumbs fall off as far as trying to achieve the ultimate success. It's so funny, too, because as I was watching this with the wifey, I said to her, I said, Jesus, listen to El Rudo. Who does he remind you of as he's talking? She's like, I can't quite put my finger on it. I told her, I said, he sounds like Chris Jericho. Just close your eyes and just, and he did. He sounded a lot like Chris Jericho, and I mean that in the most complimentary way. I mean, he really did sound like Jericho there. He's got some serious swag to him, that El Rudo. I'm digging him. I'm really digging him. Meanwhile, NWA Tag Team Tournament quarter-final matchup. The End defeated Jordan Clearwater and Mystery Man, Scion. They beat those boys with the Hell on Earth finisher. Now, you're looking at this match and you hear that, well, wait a minute. Colby Corino and Tyrus, they're supposed to be in this tournament as well. So the fact that Jordan Clearwater and Scion lost, could you maybe bring up a question on whether or not these guys really did put in 110% of an effort to try to get the victory and advance deeper into the finals here? Well, if you had that thought, you're kind of wondering that yourself. We actually would hear from Jordan Clearwater and crew later on in the night as Austin Idol and Black G's, they went off on poor Kyle Davis, because Kyle Davis, he had Black G's, he had Austin Idol, Tyrus, Jordan Clearwater. Mystery Man was not there. He decided he didn't want to have anything to do with them. He didn't feel like speaking, so he respectfully made his exit for this little talking segment. But Kyle Davis went there. He brought up the fact that, hey, we saw you guys earlier in the night with your match and everything, but considering Tyrus and Colby Corino are supposed to be teaming up and they're going to be doing their thing in this tournament, one can't help but wonder if maybe you kind of rigged this, right? If you kind of sabotaged this, you just kind of caved in all in the good name of. So Black G's and Austin Idol went to town on Kyle Davis and pretty much said, no. On the contrary, they're thinking men. All they think about is their money. They're all about championships. Idol went off on my man Kyle Davis, calling him a scam artist, calling him a con artist. Davis tried to get Idol to turn his back because his back was facing the camera. So for those of us watching at home, all we could see is the back and the head of Idol. And Kyle is trying to politely tell him he needs to turn around so the camera and Idol just continue to go off on Kyle, telling him, no, I'm not going to do no such thing. You're not going to be director and tell me where to look with as far as the cameras go. I'll look wherever the hell I want to look. And right now I'm looking at you, right? I'm like, oh, not refreshing. It was actually pretty refreshing, pretty badass to hear that. But yeah, they pretty much just laid heavy into Kyle Davis. Jordan Clearwater, as far as he was concerned, he put in 110% of the effort. As far as Mystery Man is concerned, Scion, maybe he put in about 45, 60% or something along those lines, but they were adamant that they did not lose the tag match just for Kobe and Tyrus, try to clear a way for them. Something else that was touched upon was the match that happened, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, where we saw Black G's take on Tyrus for a shot at his title there, for his TV title. That was kind of also brought into the whole mix of the things, but G's apologizing to Idol and Tyrus that, he wasn't thinking clearly, and he kind of just let his emotions get the best of him and all that. So I mean, that pretty much was a done deal right there. So continuing to see this alliance between these guys, very, very odd, because you just keep wondering, okay, how does guys like Black G's and Jordan Clearwater really benefit here from this alliance with Tyrus and Austin Idol, besides getting their asses handed to them by Tyrus? What do they really benefit from being with this alliance here? Because so far, yeah, you got the strength in numbers, but so far it's really been kind of coming off very, very one-sided, right? Just, okay, this guy's going to eat, but when it comes to you guys eating as well, you're going to get scraps. And if you can't get fed off of those scraps, if you can't take care of your hunger off of those scraps, well, that's your freaking problem, because my man Tyrus over here, he's got to eat. That's just how it's been coming off. So you just can't help but wonder when Black G's and Clearwater are going to kind of come to their senses and say, yeah, you know what, this really ain't the deal for us. Maybe we should kind of go in a different direction. Speaking of tag team quarterfinal action, there was one more match that we had. Saul Renaro and Mims, they teamed up and they defeated the team of Slice Boogie and Marche Rocket. Gotta say, I was pretty surprised at that, because I really was under the impression Slice Boogie and Marche Rocket, because I told you guys, as far as the teams that I was homing in on the most that could potentially go all the way winning this, I really was homing in there on Slice Boogie, Marche Rocket. And to see that, these guys not close, no cigar, you're like, damn. But yeah, not for nothing, but Mims and Saul Renaro, they actually click pretty damn well together for a tag team. I got to give them a lot of props. Also got to give props to Danny Dales. It was actually kind of funny seeing him at ringside, as he's trying to cause a distraction, and the referee is just clear as day. Poor Dales couldn't time this shit just right. Okay, like, no, you're supposed to somehow get the referee over on the other side with the distraction to help you guys out, but I mean, it was almost like a pin had dropped, and everybody was just pretty much looking at Dales, wondering what the hell is he doing on top of the apron. And as Dales finally reluctantly jumps down and, realizes he's kind of red-handed there, he actually tries to give the referee a couple of bucks, I guess, assuming, hey, kind of do me a solid here. But the referee wasn't having any of that. So that was a nice little comedic spot that they did right there. But the team of Saul Renaro and Mims, they could go all the way, man. I don't know. This team actually could go all the way. Nice little chemistry between the two. I like how Renaro at one point, he tried to see if he could scoop up and body slam Mims onto one of the guys. I don't know if it was Marche or Boogie, but Renaro like freaking pulled his back. And he's looking at Mims and he's kind of going, no. Okay. You body slam me instead. And Mims is kind of like, all right, then, like, I thought that's what we were going to do. So he slams him and it's like, okay, good. But that could be the team that could go all the way. We'll have to see how that pans out. Meanwhile, Paola Blaze, Marty Bell, this was kind of like a continuation from what all had went down during NWA 73/Empower weekend. Once again, this was kind of one of those, mira, cállate boca. It was kind of one of those Spanish talking segments yet again. But when it was all said and done, look, not for nothing, but it was very brief. I'll give them credit because the last go round, it was much longer It was much longer. This go round, it was pretty much short, sweet, simple, maybe about 3 minutes tops, if it was even that. But the main point of this one was to really drive along this little rivalry that we've got going on that's pretty much been introduced since Empower Weekend and everything. So pretty much, I believe on next week's Power, we will see Paola Blaze face Marty Bell, while Genocide will face Allison Kay. Now, there's a huge stipulation here. If Blaze or Genocide were to win, if they are to win, which is one of them, not both, it could just be one of them. If one of them wins their matches, they'll get a shot at the NWA Women's Tag Team titles. So a huge development right there. Huge development right there. Also, we got to see Judas in action. Judas pretty much had a squash match against Jeremiah Pluckett. I continue to not be impressed whatsoever by Judas. It's nothing personal against the guy that's playing the Judas character whatsoever. But, for me, you're talking to somebody that saw the King Kong Bundys, the Bam Bam Bigelows, the Yokozunas, the Papa Shangos, the Gene Snitskys, the Canes. We go on and on and on and on and on. I'm still not intimidated. I'm not looking at Judas going, wow, badass. Like, I'm not there yet. There is still a lot of a weed out process that is needed. Still a flushing out period that is needed for this Judas character. I definitely think, however, that it has been helping that we've seen the Sinister Minister. Oh God, I'm drawing the father, James Mitchell. I think it's been very beneficial that he's been paired up with him, because as far as needing that mouthpiece and really help stringing along rivalries and all of that, stringing along the storyline, he's definitely been adding that much needed layer. And it's kind of interesting because I'm more interested in Father James Mitchell than I am Judas. And that really should not even be the case. It should be the other way around. So, and look, you can tell that NWA, they are trying to, the people that's booking this, you can tell that they are really trying hard to get this Judas character over, because not only do you got the Sinister Minister, James Mitchell, in there, but we've also got the Cowboy James Storm that pretty much was introduced here on this episode tonight. As post-match, James Storm comes out, suit and all, and he says to Judas, won't you stop messing around with these ponies, and won't you mess with a Clydesdale? And you're going, oh, that's pretty refreshing to hear, by the way. I love that. It was pretty refreshing to hear. James Mitchell then comes right back, hey, Cowboy, we've had a long history together. Our rivalry goes back many years. You don't want none of my boy here in Judas, because if you do, you're going to be going to a funeral. I liked how James Storm just kind of came right back on that and everything. One thing that's kind of interesting with the Cowboy James Storm, and it kind of feels a little inconsistent, but I'm willing to look the other way on this one. But you've been watching the NWA product. Remember, Cowboy James Storm, not that long ago, he got interrupted by Austin Idol and Tyrus. And Austin Idol was cutting this promo talking about how they looked high and over the hills and far away over mountains and trying to find competition for Tyrus. And you had the Cowboy James Storm just standing right there listening to all of this stuff thinking, oh, okay, they looking for a legit challenger. Okay, well, let me step up to the plate here. And Cowboy just pretty much let them walk all over his talking time segment. I was quite surprised that the Cowboy, didn't get in the face of Tyrus. And maybe that'll come down the road. But for all intents and purposes, looks like in the immediate future, it's going to be Judas, Cowboy James Storm. and we'll see how that pans out. But you could tell they're really trying to put all their eggs in the basket of Judas right now and do everything they can to get that young man the exposure and get him the help that he needs and trying to get over and everything. I'm most curious to know how other people. So shout out to you guys that check out the NWA product, especially if you're going to be watching this on demand long after we're off the air. Let me know what you've been making about the Judas character so far. I'm most curious. Talking segment as Kyle Davis was interviewing Crimson and Jax Dane. Jax Dane letting it be known to Crimson, dude, you keep coming up short again and again. But, you know, when it's all said and done, you ain't getting my title shot. Remember, Jax Dane, he's got a future title shot opportunity. When and where he cashes it in, that's pretty much up to him. But Dane was taking this opportunity to throw cheap shots there at his boy Crimson and telling him, you're not getting my title shot. No, you want to beat my ass and everything. You know, you could try. But as far as it being for my title shot, yeah, that ain't happening. Crimson throws it right back to him and tells him, dude, you got a big ass head and a narrow mind. I'm still remembering what you did jumping me at NWA 73. You're the world's luckiest loser. It's like, remember, man, like, you didn't even really get picked up. You know, you weren't even by the coaches in the top 3. You know, you pretty much, I mean, let's be honest, you got really the luck of the draw because you were at the bottom barrel of the picks. And look, only thing I want is to watch you get humiliated. And you will get humiliated because that's exactly what's going to happen. And, you know, only difference is when you fail this time, because you will cash in that title shot opportunity. I know you will. But you're going to come up short again. And the big difference this go round, I'm not going to be there to help you clean up your mess. But he also lets Crimson know that next week, or correction, Jax Dane. No, I said that right. Crimson lets Jax Dane know. Sorry about that. Crimson lets Jax Dane know that next week they're going to be having a match. They're going to be main eventing. So next week's NWA Powerrr, Crimson, Jax Dane, main event. Should be a pretty good one. Also, one more matchup that we had got tonight. Kylie Ray in action. She took on and defeated St. Louis's own Tootie Lynn. Actually, was a nice little back and forth matchup between those two girls. I actually had enjoyed it. I love seeing a little bit more of that mean streak side coming from my girl Kylie Ray. Yes, it's funny too because as I was watching this, wifey had looked up and, you know, she likes checking out some of the women's action. She's like, you know, isn't that girl that was originally pushing the little yellow top, kind of like a Tweety top? And I knew what she meant because basically when Kylie Ray was pushing the yellow, yeah, it did kind of remind you of Tweety. I said, yeah. I said that's her. I was like, yeah, Kylie Ray. She's like, yeah, that's her name, Kylie Ray. She's like, oh, she's in NWA now. I was like, yeah. It's like long story, but yeah, she's in NWA now. But this was a nice little good back and forth between Kylie Ray. Kylie Ray showing a little bit of a mean streak here in this matchup. Now I'm trying to remember how Kylie Ray had beat Tootie Lynn because I want to say Kylie Ray won by submission, although I could be mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I thought this was, since Tootie Lynn has been introduced to us and all, because remember, we saw her make her official NWA debut at Empower. So this was her Power TV debut. And I thought she did extremely well. On here. Just give me a second to think here. Give me a second to think here. No, there's nothing more I wanna add to this one. But Tootie Lynn is definitely, she's growing on me. I've only seen, honestly, at full length what she did at Empower, what she did tonight. A little bit of stuff online here and there, but really not enough to really whet my appetite as far as what's online. But what I've seen of her thus far, I definitely would love to see her a lot more in the NWA. So hopefully, I know NWA, they pretty much taped a handful of shows there in St. Louis, but just going forward, hopefully we'll get to see more of Tootie Lynn, because she's got a bright future. Honestly, I personally think she's got a bright future ahead of her. I can see her being one of the faces for the women's division there in the NWA. I think the right person actually had went over on this one as well. I know some people, because I mean, look, Tootie Lynn from St. Louis, yeah, she came up short at Empower, but look at the 15 minutes of fame and the spotlight that she had got being associated with that all women's pay per view. So to do that and then to pretty much follow it up with doing your TV debut for Power, even if it was a losing effort, I mean, you still got nothing but smiles. You should still have nothing but smiles if you're a Tootie Lynn fan, because you're like, man, what a great week for her, because look at what all she's been able to do so far here. So, good stuff right there. And then if you're a Kylie Ray fan, if the one thing that you have on your mind right now with Kylie Ray is like, great, you're happy to see her back in action again. You're happy to somehow get access to seeing her on TV each week. You just want for what you felt you knew was capable with Kylie Ray. If you followed her work in AEW and you felt she was going to get to a certain level, and sadly it's kind of one of those what would have been, what could have been. And then you looked at her over in Impact Wrestling and you're kind of like, ooh. And now it's what could have been. And you're kind of looking at her in the NWA and you're just kind of really keeping your fingers crossed and hoping for nothing but great success for her in NWA. But yeah, she's another one that can definitely be one of the major faces there for the women's division in the years to come, a multi-time women's champion at that. So just have to wait and see and how all that pans out. But pretty decent episode of NWA Powerrr for this week. FYI, something new that NWA has been advertising more and more now is that they are on Pro Wrestling Tees. They've really been pushing that a lot more. Now, you can still go on the NWA website. You can still go on the NWA website, and if you guys can actually bear with me a second here. Because there's a main point I'm making for this. Actually, give me a second here. Let me just check on something here. Hang on, guys. I want to go to the official site. Yep, there we go. So you can still go to the nationalwrestlingalliance.com site, and you click on store, and you can see everything that is available when you go there. But they've got the Pro Wrestling Tees store, and that's something that they've really been pushing a lot more. And right now, in regards to the Pro Wrestling Tees store, there's only like about 4, maybe 5 items that they got on there. They've got a poster. It's a nice little throwback poster. Reminds you of wrestling from the 60s, 70s when you see it. It's a nice little throwback joint. They got one for the Empower event, and they've got another one for 73. They want like $24 for it. Pretty badass. They got an NWA 73 t-shirt. I think they got like 2 versions of it. So it's very, very limited. They got like about maybe 5 items on their Pro Wrestling Tees store right now. I would imagine that as the weeks progress, they're going to be adding more and more to it. So FYI for that, because I know a lot of people are probably going to, Pro Wrestling Tees store, see the limited quantities and then be like, yeah, I'm not really interested in. Go to the National Wrestling Alliance store where they've got more of a selection that you guys can check out. Like I'm actually on the site right now, and I mean, if you were to ask me straight up, hey, they got something that you'd be interested in, There's a unisex, kind of like a powdered blue power shirt. I can see myself pushing that. They also got a NWA, looks like a unisex fleece sweatshirt. I can see myself pushing that. Go on the National Alliance joint. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. They got the NWA Globe shirt. You know, there's a couple of little nice joints in there. It's interesting too because the last go round when I was on their site, there was a couple of joints that they had that I was very, very interested in. But it looks like those designs are no longer available. Maybe they'll bring them back, but for the Pro Wrestling Tees store, have to wait and see. So I think you want to type in prowrestlingtees.com/NWA, and I think you'll be able to find their store that way. Because sadly, when you actually go to the Pro Wrestling Tees store and you type in NWA, nothing comes up. I even tried typing in National Wrestling Alliance, nothing comes up. So you literally have to know the URL, the direct URL, and pretty much go that way, FYI, because I would imagine there's definitely a few more people that's been having a little bit of a hard time trying to find their store. But it is there. They do actually have a Pro Wrestling Tees store. They've actually had it, truth be told, they've actually had it for a couple of years now. They just really haven't been promoting it like that. And with all the buzz from Empower 73, I guess now they're kind of saying to themselves, let's really promote the hell out of this. Other than that, nothing else NWA wrestling news-wise has really been going down since last we were on the air with you. So all relatively quiet. I'm still waiting to hear what's going on with the Empower and pay-per-view buy rates there for Empower and for 73. Haven't heard anything yet as far as the buy rates go. Right before we get ready to wrap it up here, let me just see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about the buy rates. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about the buy rates just yet. I would imagine maybe in about 2, maybe 3 more weeks, we should kind of have a good idea what's going on with those buy rates. But trust me, I'm definitely, because I'm most curious, I'm definitely staying on top of that, trying to see what's going on. So on that note, let's stick a fork in it. We'll call this show DONE done. Your next edition, we're going to be coming at you guys Wednesday night, September 8th, 2021. Be live after AEW Dynamite goes off the air. We'll also talk a little NXT. We'll talk a little Monday Night Raw. We'll talk some ROH. We'll go all over the place on that show. Some new developments there in regards to the passing of Daphne, Shannon Spuriel. I'll give you guys the skinny on that one. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably know some of the stuff that's been going on, but for those of you that maybe, just want to get my thoughts, my 2 cents from a distance, I'll definitely sound off on that. So yeah, it'll be a nice show for you guys to check out. So definitely represent. Check it out when you guys get a chance. Meantime, you can get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And until next go round, if you haven't done so already, hit that like. I get asked, I'm told all the time, man, you should have more views. Man, you should have more. Do your part. If you do one thing, click the like. That is like your human superpower. Everybody has a superpower. You guys actually have a superpower. Your superpower is when you hit that like button, it creates a domino effect, and it helps put more eyeballs on the product. So if you can't subscribe, that's cool. Just do one thing, use that superpower, hit the like button, helps out a ton. Till next go around, wishing all y'all to be safe and most importantly, kind to one another. And I will see you guys Wednesday night in just a little bit. Y'all take care. Much love.